How do you stand out when everyone sounds exactly the same? Find out in this episode. Hey y'all, I'm Kendrick Shope, creator of Authentic Selling, the #1 sales process for your business, which allows you to get more customers, make more money, and have the freedom to live the life you want to live. For tactical, practical, proven, strategic sales solutions that work for your business, ring the bell and subscribe. Do you ever feel like you're just floating along on the sea of sameness? I mean, you see your post on social media and somebody else's post on social media, and they could probably be interchangeable, except maybe you've got red hair and they've got, a different color hair. Or maybe you've got a Southern accent and they got a Boston accent. Oh, love Boston accents. Anyway, it can start to feel like we are navigating our business on this sea of sameness where everybody sounds the same. There are so many people in the online world, which is an incredible opportunity, but it can also be disheartening when you feel like everybody sounds the same. And you are smart enough to know that you need to stand out in order to disrupt that scroll, disrupt people doing the scroll. You got to get their attention. You got to disrupt that, right? Disrupt their actions or their patterns. So how do you do that? I get a lot of questions about this. This one's a really special video for me because last year, my business did something that is incredibly different, and it is the thing that I am the most proud of that I have ever done in 11 years of owning a business. So today we're going to talk about how I chose to stand out from that sea of sameness and how you can use the same steps that I did to figure out what your cool thing is. So first, let me tell you a little bit about last year. Not only were we navigating just the personal disconnection from being locked in our homes, but we also had some personal tragedy that we dealt with here. My daughter and her friends had lost a classmate, and they're in middle school. Never easy to lose a classmate, incredibly difficult in middle school. So we're navigating that as parents here in this home and as a family. We are navigating the pandemic like everyone in the world and being on lockdown. We were feeling isolated. We had disconnection depression is what I called it, because we weren't able to do all the things that bring us so much joy, like travel, be with family, see Broadway plays. That is our thing. And we just hit a really low point as a family. And so I decided that I needed to do something about that. I also knew that if my family was suffering, then likely your family was suffering. Whatever family means to you, whether it's you and your dogs, you and your cats, you and your horses, you and your friends, you and your parents, you and your kids, you and your significant other, whatever family means to you. If I'm suffering from disconnection depression, I figure that a lot of people were also feeling that same thing. But I felt like everything sounded the same. I was not wanting to go to work because I was in this sea of sameness. I felt like it was rinse, repeat, say the same thing, do the same thing. And our messaging kind of made me want to gag myself with a spoon. So I sat down and thought, if I could do it, and I promise I'm going to tie all this together for you, but the story matters here. If I could do anything, what would bring me joy? And that would be to see a Broadway play. Because again, Broadway is our thing in this home. So I set out to create a Broadway experience for our entire community. Not only that, but for our home too, because my thought was if I can get our family involved in this, then we're gonna work through some of that disconnection depression. Now we're talking about how to stand out in the sea of sameness, but I'm giving you an example of one of the ways that I did that. And I'm gonna get really tactical and practical with you in a minute on questions to ask yourself to help you uncover your it thing. But I think it's important to hear the example first. So we ended up partnering with Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS, which is an incredible organization. We canceled our launch. Our launches are always six-figure launches. I know, roll your eyes, six-figure launches, but they're usually multi-six-figure launches. We canceled that. And we said, forget making money. We're going to donate money this year because everybody in this industry knows, right, that when you're feeling depressed, you start with gratitude. And that is one of the foundations of authentic selling. As you continue to learn from this channel specifically, you will see that all the tools that I teach, most of them, step number one is start with gratitude. And so rather than going out and making money, we decided we were going to find a way to give back, to raise money. And so we partnered with an incredible organization and the wonderful humans of Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS, and we put on the first ever Broadway concert that was back before Broadway theaters opened up. Think about that for a minute. It was a virtual concert, but before the doors to Broadway opened back up, we put on a Broadway concert. Little bitty business here in Knoxville, Tennessee. And we didn't just put on a Broadway concert. We put on a Broadway concert that had the elite, the best of the best Broadway talent that we could find. We had Tony Award winners. We had Tony-nominated singers. We had stars from Hamilton, Wicked, Company, Dear Evan Hansen. We had TV stars from multiple television shows. We had pop stars from New Kids on the Block. Like, we had an entire gamut of stars who showed up to sing and to pour into this event and into you, our community. Now, this was so radically different that I had so many people say, this won't work. It won't work. People will not get the connection between a Broadway show and selling and making money, and it just won't work. And I took that pretty personally because I was incredibly excited to have come up with this idea. And I remember saying, they don't have to get the connection. What they need to get is that this is a place that is gonna do business differently. And if our potential customers walk away with that, then I've done my job, even if they never buy from me. Just showing people that you can do business differently, then I've won. I've won. Now, our goal was to raise $100,000 for Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS, which we did. So instead of raising money, instead of launching, it was a total give. We didn't ask for anything. You could make a donation to Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS if you chose to do that. And we hit our goal. We provided medicine to people in need, meals to people who were out of work. The numbers are really staggering, which you can read below here. My point is, this was a really dramatic way to stand out in a sea of sameness. So dramatic that people said it won't work or people won't get it. But all evidence to the contrary, because for the rest of my life, I'm going to be able to say my company put on the first Broadway show, it was virtual, before the doors opened back up to Broadway. I still get messages about that night. It was called One Night Only. People will say, I found you through One Night Only. I watched One Night Only. How did you get all those stars and celebrities to show up for One Night Only? And so that really taught me that even if other people don't get it, if you're passionate about it, find a way to make it work. I'm going to give you one more example, and then I'm going to tell you how to do this in your own business. So another way that we do this in our business is through all of the catchy sales tools that I created. Now, I called upon a decade of top performing sales experience, graduating top in my class from 2 corporate sales schools, but nowhere else are you going to find sales tools titled the Spice Girls tool. So tell me what you want, what you really, really want. The Supremes tool. Stop in the name of authentic selling. If it starts to get icky, think it over. The Dr. Dre tool. Keep them nodding their head. Ring, ding, dong. Ring, a ding, 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 dong. Keep their heads ringing. The Vanilla Ice tool. If they got a problem, you'll solve it. Check out my product because, whoops, I forgot it. You get the point. The TLC tool, the New Kids on the Block tool, the My Chemical Romance tool, the Panic at the Disco tool, all of these, the President Obama tool, all of these are tools that I teach that teach you tactical, tangible, practical, proven ways to sell more. But when I started creating these tools, I had a very prominent expert tell me, people are going to think you're dumb. Don't do that. Don't sing. Don't teach tools that are related to pop culture. And she was wrong. Because that is some of people's favorite things that they learn from me are these tools that they remember. So I found my way to embrace my love of pop culture and turn it into something I get to talk about all day long. Talk about standing out in a sea of sameness. People ask me all the time, how did you do that? How did you come up with that? And so today, I'm going to tell you the steps so that you can do the same thing for yourself. Number 1, get passionate with it. It's like Will Smith says, getting jiggy with it, get passionate with it. What are you passionate about? You know, when you take those personality tests or those career tests, they say, what are those things that you can do for hours and hours and hours and never get bored? Well, for me, it's watching entertainment, it's watching concerts, it's going to concerts, it's reading about makeup. I love to read about makeup. It's listening to music. I never get bored with that stuff. So that was my thing. It was, how do we turn this into infotainment? But not just infotainment for infotainment's sake. It's not just, we're going to be entertaining so we can get your attention, but we're going to be entertaining so that you remember what you're learning, so that you can take with you what you learn and make a difference. You see, there's infotainment just for name value. Oh my gosh, she got Dr. Dre to come speak. Well, that's name dropping infotainment. Or there's infotainment to be funny, right? But you don't really learn anything. But we balance better than anybody I've ever seen. There's not much I do better than anybody I've ever seen. Loving my daughter, that's about it. But we do a really good job of balancing entertainment plus tactical, tangible, practical tools that you remember. We wanted to marry those two, and we do it well. So step 1 is get passionate with it. If you love cars, then start thinking about cars. If you love organic food, then let that be your thing. If you love movies, think about movies from the idea point of view to the deliverable point of view and all the steps in between. And how can you start creating tools that make your customers pause? Tools that make your customers say, I want more of that. So step 1 is think about what you love. Step 2 is really analyze that and ask, how can you incorporate it into what you do every day? Is it a one-time event? Is it mixed in with your teaching and what you teach? I'll give you an example. One of my customers loves Disney princesses. And so one of the things that she did was when she was talking about, she was a life coach. And she was trying to make life coaching tangible. And so she used this visual of like a wicked queen. She didn't have the rights, obviously, to Disney images, but she used this visual of like a wicked queen. And she said, this is what your thoughts are like in your head. It's like the wicked queen in there, you know, saying, you're not good enough, you're not this, you're not this. In contrast, when you learn to tame that evil queen, this is what your life feels like. And it was a picture of a beautiful princess. So she incorporated her love of Disney into how she taught. So step 1 is get passionate with it. Think about what you love. And then step 2 is how can you incorporate those things into what you already do? It doesn't have to be a one-time huge event. It can be incorporating little bitty steps into what you're already doing every day. And I can assure you, as sure as my hair is red, that once you test those things, which is step 3, test them with your audience, make sure that they make sense, you will start standing out in the sea of sameness. I remember the first time I taught the Dr. Dre tool publicly, I had so many DMs in my inbox. This is the coolest thing ever. First of all, here's a Southern white girl trying to rap, which is funny, but I will never forget the importance of why I need to Dr. Dre my customers in my copy. That's the kind of reaction we want. And that's how you stand out in the sea of sameness. Now, there are other ways to do it, but this one's fun. So start brainstorming. Put your creative hat on. And y'all, I am the least creative person that I know. And I came up with this. So yes, you can. Before you go, would you please ring that bell? Ring that bell. And subscribe for tactical, practical, tangible sales solutions that make your business money. I believe in you and I believe in your business. Bye, y'all.